I am sitting in my studio apartment, staring at the cardboard boxes that hold what is left of my life. 3 years of marriage gone, just like that. The wedding photo I kept still sits on the nightstand, showing Diane and me smiling on the happiest day of our lives. We looked so sure of forever back then. But forever ended on our third anniversary, the day I forgot existed, the day I spent with my ex instead of my wife, the day my mother decided to play God with my marriage, the day I said the words that destroyed everything. I was wrong. I know that now. But before I tell you how one forgotten anniversary unraveled my entire world, I need to be honest about something else. I played a part in this disaster, and the guilt still keeps me awake at night. Before I share how one forgotten anniversary unraveled everything I built, let me know where you are watching from in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe, because this story has layers you won't expect. Trust me, you will want to hear how a single day destroyed a marriage and taught me the hardest lesson about honesty and toxic family. Now let me take you back to the beginning. My name is Francis, and 3 years ago I married the woman I thought I would grow old with. Diane was a second-grade teacher with this incredible way of making everyone around her feel valued. She had soft brown hair that caught the sunlight when she laughed, and she laughed often back then. I worked as a software engineer at a tech firm downtown, pulling long hours on projects that always seemed urgent. Our life was not perfect, but it was ours. We had a small house in the suburbs, 2 rescue cats, and plans for the future. But there was always tension simmering beneath the surface, and her name was Patricia, my mother. Patricia had opinions about everything, especially about Diane. From the moment we got engaged, she made her disapproval clear. Diane did not cook traditional meals the way my mother expected. She was too independent, too focused on her career. She did not call Patricia every week or ask for advice on household matters. In my mother's eyes, these were unforgivable flaws. Family dinners became battlegrounds where Patricia would make passive-aggressive comments about how different things were in her generation, how wives knew their place, how she raised me to expect certain standards. I always found myself stuck in the middle trying to keep peace. I would tell Diane that my mother meant well, that she just needed time to adjust. I would tell Patricia that Diane was doing her best, that times had changed. Neither woman believed me, and honestly, I was just avoiding conflict. I see that now. Back then, I thought I was being diplomatic. Really, I was being a coward. The week leading up to our anniversary was brutal at work. We had a major software launch scheduled, and I was the lead engineer on the project. I was working 12-hour days, coming home exhausted, barely able to hold a conversation. Diane understood, or at least she tried to. She would leave dinner in the microwave for me and kiss my forehead when I finally collapsed into bed. On Monday of that week, she mentioned something about having a special day coming up, but I was so buried in code and debugging that I just nodded. Tuesday, she left a sticky note on the bathroom mirror with a heart drawn on it. Wednesday, she asked if I remembered what Friday was. I said yes without thinking, assuming she meant the project deadline. Thursday night, she stayed up to wait for me and asked what time I would be home on Friday. I told her probably around 7 or 8, still thinking she was talking about dinner with friends or something routine. Friday morning arrived, our anniversary, the day that would end everything. I woke up at 6 a.m. to my alarm mind already racing through the final checks we needed to complete before the launch. Diane was still asleep beside me, and I remember thinking how peaceful she looked. I showered, dressed, and was halfway out the door when she called from the bedroom. Today is a special day. You remember right. Her voice carried hope, and something else I could not quite identify. Maybe doubt. I called back that I remembered, grabbed my keys, and left. I did not remember. Not even a little bit. By 10 a.m., I was deep in meetings. My phone sat on my desk, lighting up with messages I did not have time to check. Personal notifications got ignored when deadlines loomed. Around noon, my email pinged with a message from someone I had not heard from in almost 5 years. Amber. my ex-girlfriend from college. We had dated for 2 years before realizing we wanted different things from life. The breakup was clean, friendly even. We had not stayed in close contact, but we occasionally crossed paths at industry conferences since we worked in related fields. Her email was brief, but urgent. She had just started at a new company and was drowning in a project that was falling apart. She remembered that I had expertise in the exact problem she was facing and wondered if I could spare an hour to give her some advice. She was desperate, and my ego enjoyed being needed. I wrote back suggesting we meet at the coffee shop near my office at 1 p.m. It seemed harmless, just helping out an old friend with a professional problem. The meeting stretched longer than an hour. Amber was genuinely stressed, talking rapidly about impossible deadlines and a team that did not understand the technical requirements. I fell into consultant mode, sketching solutions on napkins, explaining approaches she could take. We laughed about professors we had both struggled with in college, terrible group projects that time the campus server crashed during finals week. It felt comfortable, nostalgic, completely innocent in my mind. Around 3 p.m., Amber insisted on buying me lunch as a thank you. We walked to a small restaurant down the street. More conversation, more problem solving. She told me about her life, her recent move to the city, her struggles adjusting. I told her about work stress, but carefully kept my marriage out of the discussion. Not because I was hiding anything, I told myself, but because this was about her problems, not my life. My phone buzzed multiple times during lunch. I glanced at it once and saw Diane's name, but did not read the messages. I figured she was telling me about her day or asking what I wanted for dinner. At 4:30 p.m., I finally checked my phone properly, and my stomach dropped. 7 missed calls from Diane. 12 text messages. The first one, sent at 7 a.m., said, "Happy anniversary, honey. I love you so much. 3 years down, forever to go." The next message, sent at 11 a.m., said, "I made reservations at Italiano for 7 p.m. tonight. The place where we had our first date. I cannot wait." 1 p.m. "Are you excited? I have been planning this for weeks." 3 p.m. "I am heading home to get ready. See you at the restaurant." 5 p.m. "I am here early. So excited to see you." 6:30 p.m. "Where are you? The reservation is at 7. 7:15 p.m. "Francis, are you coming?" 8 p.m. "Are you okay? I am worried. Please call me." 8:45 p.m. "I am going home now. Call me when you can." I felt sick. How could I have forgotten our anniversary? How could I have been so careless? I immediately called Diane, but she did not pick up. I tried 3 more times. Nothing. Amber noticed my panic and asked what was wrong. I could not even form words. I just showed her the messages. She looked horrified. "Francis, you need to go home right now. Go fix this." I offered Amber a ride home since her apartment was on the way to my house, and I was too panicked to think clearly about how that might look. The entire drive, I rehearsed what I would say to Diane. I would apologize, profusely explain that work had consumed me, promise to make it up to her. I would take her to Italiano tomorrow night. No, tonight if they had a late table. We would laugh about this someday, right? It was an honest mistake. A terrible mistake, but honest. When I pulled up to our house at 9:30 p.m., Diane was standing on the front porch, not sitting. Standing. Arms crossed. Even from the car, I could see the tear stains on her face. My heart shattered. Amber was still in the passenger seat, and I suddenly realized how bad this looked. Me coming home hours late on our anniversary with another woman in my car. I got out quickly, and Amber followed, probably thinking she should explain. That was when everything started to spiral. Diane walked down the porch steps, her eyes moving between me and Amber. "Where were you?" Her voice was so quiet, so controlled, which somehow made it worse than if she had been yelling. "Who is this?" I panicked. Complete, total panic. I should have told the truth right then. I should have said, "This is Amber, my ex-girlfriend from college." She needed professional advice, and I stupidly forgot what day it was. But I did not. Fear took over. Fear that Diane would think something had happened. Fear that the truth would sound worse than it was. So I lied. "This is my best friend from college." We ran into each other and grabbed coffee. Lost track of time. The words came out too fast. Amber's eyes went wide. She opened her mouth like she wanted to correct me, then closed it again. She mumbled a quick, "Nice to meet you," to Diane, and practically ran to her car parked down the street. Diane stared at me. "Your best friend. From college." She said it flat without inflection. "I do not remember you ever mentioning a best friend named." She trailed off, waiting for me to fill in the name. I said Amber's name, and something flickered across Diane's face. She turned and walked into the house without another word. I followed her inside my mind, racing through how to fix this mess. She went straight to our bedroom and closed the door. Not slammed, closed, carefully. That scared me more than anything. I stood outside the door, hand raised to knock, trying to find words. Before I could, the doorbell rang. I cursed under my breath and went to answer it, assuming Amber had forgotten something. It was not Amber. It was my mother, Patricia. She stood there in her coat and scarf, her purse clutched in both hands, her expression a mixture of concern and something else I could not read. Satisfaction, maybe. "Francis, we need to talk." "Let me in." I did not want her there. Not then. Not ever, if I was being honest. But Patricia had never waited for permission in her life. She pushed past me into the living room and turned to face me. "I saw you today." She said it like an accusation. "At the coffee shop downtown, with Amber." "Your ex-girlfriend, Amber." Cold dread washed over me. "Mom, what were you doing downtown?" "I was shopping." "I saw you through the window laughing with that girl. Then I saw you go to lunch together." I waited. I watched. Her voice got louder. "Does Diane know you spent the day with your ex-girlfriend? Does she know you lied and called Amber your best friend?" "Mom, keep your voice down. It is not what you think. It is exactly what I think. I have been telling you for years that Diane is not the right woman for you. She does not respect family. She does not know how to be a proper wife. Now you are looking elsewhere, and honestly, I do not blame you. That is not what happened. Amber needed work advice. That is all. On your anniversary, you forgot your anniversary to help your ex-girlfriend." Patricia's voice carried through the house. She wanted Diane to hear. I know that now. She was creating chaos on purpose. Diane emerged from the bedroom. Her face was pale, but her eyes were blazing. She looked at Patricia, then at me. "Ex-girlfriend. You said she was your best friend." Each word was deliberate, controlled fury. "You lied to my face, Francis. You spent our anniversary with your ex and lied about it." "Diane, please let me explain. I forgot what day it was. I was focused on work. Amber contacted me for help and I just wanted to be helpful. Nothing happened. Nothing would ever happen. You forgot our anniversary." She repeated it like she could not believe the words. "I waited for you at that restaurant for 2 hours. I called you 7 times. And you were with her." Patricia jumped in, her voice, dripping with false sympathy. "Diane, dear, maybe this is a sign. Maybe you two are not meant to be together. Francis needs someone who understands him, who puts family first." Diane turned on Patricia with a ferocity I had never seen from her. "You have wanted this from the beginning. You have never accepted me. You have criticized everything I do, every choice I make. You are toxic. Patricia, you are destroying your son's life." Patricia drew herself up, offended. "How dare you speak to me that way? I am his mother. I only want what is best for him. And clearly that is not you. You are selfish. You are cold. You care more about your career than your husband. I waited for him at a restaurant for 2 hours. On our anniversary. How is that cold? If you were a better wife, he would not need to seek comfort elsewhere. They were both shouting now. I stood between them, the noise overwhelming. Every muscle in my body was tense. My head pounded. The guilt, the panic, the anger at my mother for making this worse. The frustration at Diane for not listening to my explanation. It all built up into something I could not control. Diane turned back to me, her voice breaking. "Tell me the truth, Francis. All of it. Right now. Or I am done." "Diane, I swear nothing happened with Amber. She is just a friend. Was just a friend. Is just. You lied about who she was. You hid the fact that she is your ex. What else are you lying about?" Patricia interjected again. "See, she does not trust you. That is not love, Francis. That is control. Mom, please just go home." "I will not. Someone needs to defend you since you will not defend yourself." "Diane, you are being completely unreasonable. My son made a mistake. He forgot a date. It happens." But instead of being understanding, you attack him. Diane's eyes filled with fresh tears. "Forgot a date. It is our anniversary, 3 years, and he spent it with another woman and lied about it. How is that unreasonable to be upset?" They kept going back and forth, their voices, overlapping accusation, piling on accusation. My mother defending me in ways I did not want. My wife rightfully furious but not letting me explain. The pressure built and built until something inside me snapped. I could not think. I could not breathe. I just wanted everyone to stop talking. So I yelled, louder than I have ever yelled in my life. "Diane, just shut up. You are embarrassing me." In front of my friend. The silence that followed was deafening. I realized what I had just said. The words hung in the air like poison. Diane's face went from angry to completely blank. She stared at me like she was looking at a stranger. My mother smiled. Actually smiled, like I had finally chosen the right side. But I had not. I had chosen the worst possible words at the worst possible moment. Diane spoke so quietly I almost did not hear her. "You told me to shut up. You chose your mother over me. On our anniversary. After you forgot it. After you lied to me." She nodded slowly like something had just become crystal clear. "I understand now." "Diane, wait. I did not mean." "Yes, you did. You meant exactly that. I have spent 3 years trying to make your mother accept me. 3 years being criticized and belittled. 3 years waiting for you to stand up for me. And, when it mattered most, you told me to shut up." She walked back to the bedroom with terrifying calm. I heard drawers opening, the closet door sliding. Patricia touched my arm. "You did the right thing, son." She was being hysterical. Sometimes women need to be put in their place. I jerked away from her. "Get out. Get out of my house right now." "Francis, I was helping you. You were destroying my marriage. Leave now," she huffed, and gathered her things, muttering about disrespect and ungrateful children. The door closed behind her and I ran to the bedroom. Diane had a suitcase open on the bed, throwing clothes into it. "Please do not do this. Please, let's talk. I am so sorry. I should never have said that. I should never have forgotten. I should never have lied." She kept packing without looking at me. "I am going to stay with my sister. Do not call me. Do not text me. I need time to think." How much time? She finally looked at me, and the pain in her eyes nearly brought me to my knees. "I do not know if there is enough time in the world to fix this, Francis." She zipped the suitcase, walked past me, and left. I heard her car start. I heard her drive away. And I stood in our bedroom surrounded by the life we had built, understanding that I had just destroyed it all, with my cowardice, my carelessness, and 3 terrible words. The next morning I woke up on the couch. I had not been able to sleep in our bed without Diane. I called her phone a dozen times. Every call went to voicemail. I sent text messages apologizing, explaining, begging. None were answered. I called her sister, who told me coldly that Diane did not want to speak to me and I should respect that. I asked if Diane was okay. Her sister said, "She cried all night." How do you think she is? Work became impossible. I went to the office but could not focus. My boss noticed my performance dropping and asked if everything was all right at home. I lied and said yes. The software launch that had consumed my attention all week suddenly seemed meaningless. Who cared about code when my marriage was falling apart? A week passed, then two. Diane still would not speak to me. I drove past her sister's house once and saw her car in the driveway. I almost stopped but realized that would make things worse. Give her space. Let her process. Those phrases repeated in my mind, but they felt like excuses for doing nothing. 3 weeks after that night, an envelope arrived at the house. Legal size. Return address. From a law office I did not recognize. My hands shook as I opened it. Divorce papers. Petition for dissolution of marriage. The words blurred as I read them. Irreconcilable differences. Lack of trust. Emotional abandonment. I read the papers 3 times trying to make them say something different. They did not. I immediately called the lawyer listed on the papers and was told I could not speak to Diane through them. I asked if we could try counseling. The lawyer said Diane had made her decision clear. I asked if she was sure. The lawyer said extremely sure. I sat at the kitchen table for hours, staring at those papers, trying to understand how 3 years of marriage had come down to legal documents and cold formality. My mother called every day. At first I answered, hoping she had realized what she had done and wanted to apologize. She never did. Instead, she tried to comfort me with the exact wrong words. "You are better off without her, Francis. She was never good enough for you. You will find someone who appreciates you." After the 5th call like that, I stopped answering. After the 10th, I sent a text asking her to give me space. She responded with paragraphs about how I was being manipulated, how Diane was probably seeing someone else, how family should come first. My work suffered more. I missed deadlines. I made mistakes in code that junior developers caught. My boss called me into his office and suggested I take some time off. I refused at first, then agreed when I realized I was becoming a liability to the team. I spent days at home alone trying to figure out where everything had gone wrong. The forgotten anniversary was the trigger, but the problems ran deeper. I had never established boundaries with my mother. I had let her disrespect my wife for years. I had been so focused on avoiding conflict that I had failed to protect the person who mattered most. 2 months after Diane left, I was cleaning out the garage when I heard my mother's voice inside the house. She had let herself in with the spare key I had forgotten she had. I found her in the kitchen putting away groceries she had brought. "You are not taking care of yourself," she said. "I brought some proper food. You need to eat better." "Mom, I asked you to give me space." "You have had space. 2 months. That is enough. Time to move forward." "Move forward. I am getting divorced because of you." Her expression hardened. "Because of me, I did nothing wrong." I told Diane the truth. If your marriage could not survive the truth, then it was not a real marriage. Something about her tone made me pause. "What do you mean you told her the truth about Amber? That she was your ex-girlfriend?" "Diane deserved to know you were lying." "How did you know I would be with Amber that day?" Patricia hesitated for just a second too long. "I told you. I saw you at the coffee shop. The coffee shop is downtown. You live 40 minutes away. You never go downtown." The pieces started clicking together. "You followed me." "Did you follow me?" "I was concerned about you. You had been acting strange all week. You followed me to the coffee shop. You watched me all afternoon. You waited until the worst possible moment to show up at my house." My voice was rising. "You planned this. You wanted to destroy my marriage. I wanted to save you from a mistake. Diane was wrong for you. She did not respect me. She did not respect our family. She was changing you. She was making me happy. She was making you weak. You never stood up to her. You let her control everything. I never stood up to her. I never stood up to you. I let you bully my wife for 3 years. I let you criticize every choice we made. I chose your comfort over her dignity every single time. And when she finally had enough, when she finally fought back, I told her to shut up to protect your feelings. I was shaking with rage and grief. You did not save me from anything, Mom. You destroyed the best thing in my life because you could not stand not being the most important woman in my world. Patricia's face flushed red. How dare you speak to me this way? I am your mother. I raised you. I sacrificed everything for you. And I am grateful for that. I really am. But being my mother does not give you the right to control my life. It does not give you the right to sabotage my marriage. It does not give you permission to manipulate me. I did not manipulate you. I told the truth. You followed me. You spied on me. You showed up at the worst possible moment with the worst possible information just to cause maximum damage. That is not truth, Mom. That is manipulation. That is toxic behavior. And I am done with it. What does that mean? It means I need you to leave. And I need you to not come back until you can acknowledge what you did and apologize. Really apologize. Not just say sorry and then explain why you were actually right. I will not apologize for trying to protect my son. Then we have nothing more to say to each other. Francis, you cannot mean that. I am your mother. You are. And I love you. But I cannot have you in my life if you are going to behave this way. I have lost my wife because I could not set boundaries with you. I will not lose anything else. Patricia grabbed her purse, her face a mask of hurt and anger. You will regret this. You will see that I was right. And when you do not come crawling back to me. She left, slamming the door behind her. I stood in the kitchen, my heart pounding, and realized I had just done what I should have done years ago. It was too late to save my marriage. But maybe it was not too late to save myself. I signed the divorce papers 2 weeks later. My lawyer tried to negotiate some of the terms, but I told him to give Diane whatever she wanted. She deserved that much. The house, most of our savings, all of it. I moved into a small apartment across town, taking only my clothes and a few pieces of furniture. Starting over at 30 felt surreal. I tried one more time to reach Diane. I wrote her a letter, not an email or a text, but an actual handwritten letter. I told her everything. About how my mother had admitted to following me that day. About how she had deliberately created that confrontation. About how I had finally cut ties with Patricia and set boundaries I should have established years ago. I explained that Amber really had just been a professional contact, that nothing romantic had happened, that I had lied only because I panicked. I took responsibility for all of it. The forgotten anniversary, the lie, the horrible words I had said. I did not ask her to take me back. I just wanted her to know the full truth and to tell her I was sorry. So deeply, devastatingly sorry. I sent the letter through her sister, who promised to deliver it but made no promises about whether Diane would read it. I waited. Days passed. Then weeks. No response. I told myself that was fine. She did not owe me anything. I had broken her trust. She had every right to move forward without looking back. Therapy became a lifeline. I found a counselor who specialized in family dynamics and relationship issues. Over months of sessions, I started to understand patterns I had never seen before. How my mother's behavior had been controlling and manipulative my entire life. How I had learned to avoid conflict rather than address it. How my desire to keep everyone happy had meant I stood up for no one, including myself. The therapist helped me see that while my actions had ended my marriage, the foundation had cracks long before that anniversary. Work slowly improved. I threw myself into projects relearning focus and dedication. My boss, seeing my renewed effort, promoted me to senior engineer. The irony was not lost on me. I finally had the professional success I had been chasing, and there was no one to share it with. My apartment remained sparse. I did not bother decorating. It did not feel like home. It was just a place to sleep and exist. Patricia called occasionally. I did not answer. She left voicemails that ranged from angry to apologetic to manipulative. In one message, she cried and said she missed me. In the next, she blamed Diane for turning me against her. In another, she claimed to be sick and needed my help. I listened to each message, felt the familiar guilt, and then deleted it. My therapist helped me recognize that Patricia would likely never truly change. Some people are so invested in their worldview that admitting fault feels like annihilation. I could not force her to see what she had done. I could only control my own boundaries. A year passed, then 18 months. I went on a few dates set up by well-meaning friends, but nothing clicked. I was not ready. Maybe I would never be ready. The divorce had taught me that I had work to do on myself before I could be a good partner to anyone else. I focused on that work. I reconnected with old friends who had drifted away during my marriage, not because Diane had kept me from them, but because I had let relationships atrophy while trying to manage my mother's demands. I picked up hobbies I had abandoned. I started running. I learned to cook actual meals instead of relying on takeout. Small steps toward becoming a fuller version of myself. One Saturday afternoon, I was in the grocery store when I saw her. Diane? She was in the produce section examining avocados. My breath caught. She looked different. Her hair was shorter cut in a style I had never seen on her. She was wearing a dress I did not recognize. She looked happy, healthy, like a weight had been lifted. A man stood beside her mid-30s laughing at something she had said. He put an avocado in the cart, and she swatted his arm playfully. I should have left. Let her have her moment without my presence contaminating it. But she looked up and saw me. For a second, we just stared at each other across the produce section. Then she said something to the man, who nodded and wandered toward the apples, giving us space. Diane walked over to me. "Hello, Francis." "Hi. You look good." "Thank you. You look different too. Better, maybe." We stood there awkwardly. Two people who had once promised forever, now strangers, making small talk. "I got your letter," she said finally. "I read it. Multiple times. You did not respond." "I know." I did not know what to say. Part of me wanted to respond immediately. Part of me needed time to process. By the time I figured out what to say, too much time had passed, and it felt weird to reach out. "I understand." "Do you?" "Because I am not sure I understand any of it even now." She glanced back at the man examining apples. "That is Marcus. We have been dating for 4 months. He is kind. He listens. He does not have a toxic mother who he refuses to stand up to." The words were not mean, just factual. "I am glad you found someone good. I read about your promotion. LinkedIn still suggests your profile to me sometimes. Congratulations." "Thank you. I read that you got department chair at your school. That is amazing. It keeps me busy." She paused, searching for words. "Your letter answered a lot of questions. About your mom. About that day. I believe you that nothing happened with Amber. I know you well enough to know you would not cheat. But Francis, the cheating was not really the issue. I know. Do you? Because I do not think you did back then. The issue was not that you forgot our anniversary. People forget things when they are stressed. The issue was not even that you spent the day with your ex. You were helping a friend. Those things hurt, but they were not unforgivable. The issue was that you lied to my face about who she was. You introduced her as your best friend when you knew exactly who she was. That is when I realized you would choose comfort over honesty. You would choose avoiding conflict over protecting me. You are right. And then when your mother attacked me, when she said all those horrible things she had been saying for years, you finally spoke up. But not to defend me, to tell me to shut up. You chose her over me. In that moment, you made it so clear where I ranked in your life. I was wrong. So completely wrong. I should have established boundaries with my mother years ago. I should have protected you from her toxicity. I should have never ever said those words to you. No, you should not have. And honestly, I do not think I can ever forget that you did. When someone shows you who they are in a crisis, believe them. You showed me that when things got hard, you would not be my partner. You would be your mother's son first. I have cut ties with her. Completely. I have not spoken to her in over a year. Diane looked sad, hearing that. I am sorry. I know that could not have been easy. It was necessary. She admitted she planned the whole thing, followed me that day, waited for the worst moment. She wanted our marriage to fail. I know. Your letter explained that, and I believe you. But Francis, that does not change what you did. You still made the choices you made. Your mother created the situation, but you said the words. You told me to shut up. You defended her instead of me. That was your choice, not hers. I nodded, feeling tears prick my eyes. I know, and I will regret it for the rest of my life. I do not hate you, she said gently. I did for a while. I was so angry, but therapy helped me understand that you were a victim of your mother's manipulation too. That does not excuse your actions, but it helps me understand them. And honestly, I think the divorce was the best thing for both of us. You needed to learn to stand up to toxic people. I needed to learn that I deserve a partner who will protect me without hesitation. You do deserve that. And I have that now with Marcus. He is not perfect, but when his family criticizes me, he shuts it down immediately. He has boundaries. He knows who his priority is. That is what I needed, and what you could not give me. Marcus walked back over, sensing the conversation was ending. Diane introduced us. We shook hands awkwardly. He seemed like a decent guy. I hoped he was. Diane deserved someone decent. We said goodbye, and I watched them walk away together, his hand on the small of her back, her leaning into him slightly. They looked comfortable, safe. Everything we had not been in those final years. I finished my shopping and drove home to my apartment. That night, I sat on my balcony with a beer watching the city lights. I thought about everything I had lost, everything I had learned. I would never get Diane back. That chapter was closed, and honestly, it should be. She had moved on. She was happy. That was a gift, even if it was not a gift I could share. But I had learned something crucial through all the pain and loss. I had learned that protecting toxic people because they are family will cost you everything that matters. I had learned that conflict avoidance is not peacekeeping, it is cowardice. I had learned that the person you love should never have to beg you to defend them. And I had learned that some mistakes cannot be fixed, no matter how sorry you are, no matter how much you have grown. The divorce papers had said irreconcilable differences. At the time, I thought that was legal jargon. Now I understood it was simply the truth. We had become incompatible not because we stopped loving each other, but because I had not been brave enough to be the partner she needed. That was on me, not on my mother, not on circumstances, on me. I went inside and pulled out my journal, something my therapist had suggested I start. I wrote about seeing Diane, about her happiness with Marcus, about my own journey over the past 18 months. I wrote about my mother and the boundaries I had finally learned to set. I wrote about the version of myself I was trying to become, someone who stood up for what mattered, someone who protected the people he loved, someone who was honest, even when honesty was uncomfortable. I was not that person yet. Maybe I would never fully become that person, but I was trying, and trying had to count for something. I had lost my marriage. I had lost my relationship with my mother, though that loss felt more like liberation than grief. But I had found something else: self-respect, clarity, understanding of what kind of man I wanted to be. That night I slept better than I had in months. Not because everything was fixed. It was not. But because I had finally accepted that some things could not be fixed and that was okay. I had apologized. I had grown. I had changed. Diane did not need to forgive me for me to move forward. I just needed to forgive myself and do better going forward. The next morning, I signed up for a volunteer program at a local community center teaching coding to kids. I started planning a trip I had always wanted to take but never made time for. I called an old friend and made plans to grab dinner. Small steps, but they were my steps. Not dictated by someone else's expectations. Not compromised by my need to avoid conflict. Just mine. I thought about what I would tell someone else going through something similar. I would tell them that family does not get a free pass to hurt the people you love. I would tell them that saying no to toxic behavior is not cruel, it is necessary. I would tell them that the person you build a life with should be your first priority, not your last. I would tell them that one moment of dishonesty can destroy years of trust. So transparency is not optional, it is essential. And I would tell them that some lessons can only be learned through devastating loss, but that does not make them any less valuable. I still think about Diane sometimes. I probably always will. She was important. Our marriage was important. The failure of that marriage taught me more about myself than any success ever could have. I do not wish we were still together, because I know she is happier without me. But I wish I had been better when it mattered. I wish I had protected her. I wish I had been brave. Those wishes will stay wishes. But they fuel my commitment to being different now, to being honest, to setting boundaries, to standing up for what matters. I lost my marriage, but I found myself. That is not a fair trade. I would rather still have Diane, but I get to control my response to the loss, and I choose to grow from it. If you are reading this or listening to this, I want you to ask yourself something. If someone you love is being hurt by someone toxic in your life, what are you doing about it? Are you defending them, or are you asking them to be patient, to understand, to give just a little more grace? Because I asked Diane to do that for 3 years, and it destroyed us. Do not make my mistake. Protect the people who choose to build a life with you. Set boundaries with the people who refuse to respect those you love. And if you make a mistake, own it fully. Do not defend. Do not justify. Just own it and commit to doing better. That is all we can do. Own our mistakes and grow from them. I wish I had learned that lesson before I lost everything, but I'm learning it now. And maybe that has to be enough. If this story helped you in any way, or if you have been through something similar, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your perspective. Hit that like button if this resonated with you, and subscribe for more stories about life mistakes and learning to be better. Share this with anyone who might need to hear it. We are all figuring this out as we go, and sometimes knowing we are not alone makes all the difference. Thank you for listening. I hope you protect the people you love better than I did. And I hope you learn from my mistakes so you do not have to make them yourself. Take care of yourselves. You deserve relationships built on honesty, boundaries, and mutual respect. Do not settle for less.